All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Tuesday, July 2nd. So we've got one more day before the holiday, and then we're off the 4th and then back on the 5th. So S&P futures, I'm actually pretty surprised today, this little ramp at the end of the day. So maybe a nice little buy program that hit right at the end of the day, because it looked like today was going to be basically a range-bound day for the S&P, and we managed to get above value, and we closed up 40 basis points. So I'm surprised. Today's activity was kind of all over the place. Really what the bigger moves were today. So again, love the move at the end of the day. Names like Amazon really took off, which I got long a call spread yesterday in Amazon right at the end of the day. And that's through the highs, and we did see a little bit of call buying in Amazon today too. You never know with some of these orders. This order was not swept in Amazon, but there was 900 of the 12th July 12th 1920 calls that went up, and this was an opening order. So again, tough to tell if somebody was buying these outright, but this name kind of really took off from the lows. It was down about 0.5%, and took a nice turn and ended up higher. And what gets more exciting about Amazon, right? I don't go over the FANG stocks every day unless I really see something that is kind of looking intriguing. But this is now pushing to the top of value for July. So keep in mind they have Prime Day in a couple weeks. So maybe you see a little bit of catalyst. Maybe that's why somebody bought those calls, if in fact they did buy them. But again, remember with option activity, right? You never know 100%. First of all, if they're bought, and if they are bought, if it's an outright buy or what their position is, you just don't know that. You could try to use like a process of elimination to say, okay, well, they were swept, meaning they cleared all exchanges, they went above the ask. So there are some things that kind of increase the probability to almost like 100% by reading the tape. You can kind of see of the way something went up. But unless you're in touch with that person, or definitively by talking to a broker on a desk who handled the order, or the buyer themselves, you don't really know. So you kind of have to just do your own thing and say, hey, do I like this trade or not? Because we see thousands of these trades a day. And you can't. I see a lot of people calling thousands of trades on the tape. That every time there's some. No, I'm just kidding. But you just can't be in every one of them. But I'm going to stay long after taking a target today in Amazon, and we'll see if this can break. I mentioned it was a preemptive trade yesterday, so nice move there. I'll tell you, but really where the movers were, and if we go to my spreadsheet for the day. Was in gold. Gold was up 1.6% from the open, up 2.4. So let's quickly take a look at GLD and just see how this thing is lining. I mentioned that either looking at gold or gold futures, 132.30, really nice level for you to trade against for gold, and managing this breakout, right? Because right now we do have what's known as a breakout in GLD or gold futures themselves, but you've got a breakout. So how do you manage this breakout? Well, the value areas give you a really good sense of how to deal with it. I would say, for me, being long versus 132.30 is the way to go, and we'll see where this goes. Also, I would give it some time, right? Because sometimes we do see a little bit of back and filling, some type of a bull flag, and you could see an inside day tomorrow. And I think right now, strategy, I would say, if you want to get into gold, is buying on on an inside day, on a down day. I think that could be a better entry than going long after gold is up 2.1%. But again, that's just a little strategy. And again, this video is just for information purposes only. But I'll tell you, we did see a lot of gold buying today, both in GLD. GLD, I think if you go further down, probably some rolling out of positions as well, but you could see some little just bits and pieces. GDX, I thought we saw more of. We saw an early JNUG, JNUG. Sorry, was that Nugget or was that? I always get these confused. Let's see, I'll bring up both. But just so you could see the order flow, here's a sweep opening August 2nd. Here's a spread that went up. Here's another one that went up August. So again, pretty decent action, and especially some of the smaller stuff too, because that sometimes just you could see repeat activity. But look at all the small stuff that went up here in GDX. I think it was actually Nugget that we saw the call buyer in right around 10 o'clock this morning. Maybe a little bit later than that. There's one right here that went up 11.55. Nugget, if you remember, is 3 times levered GDX. So again, a lot of action in this space. In terms of equities, right? I mean, sectors. GDX. I mean, look at the ones that are outperforming from the open. So even though we had that nice ramp into the close, this is still looks like a pretty defensive tape. If you look at TLT, that was also up 0.75% for the day. Keep in mind, gold up 2% for the day. So yeah, finally a little bit of a move there at the end of the day in S&P, which was up. SPYs were up just 25 basis points, which is still fine. But look at the move that we're seeing in gold and in bonds right now. It's pretty amazing. I'll zoom in here a little bit so you can see this. And again, look at the performance of, I mean, even telecom, which I think had some to deal with S and Sprint and T-Mobile. REITs were up. Utilities, which we saw some more call buying in a couple of utility names. EIX was the name there in call activity. I'll show you. They actually went after multiple maturities, and so July 67.5 calls, September 67.5 calls, July as well. So I don't know, maybe they're doing some type of a calendar spread, but these Septembers look like they were bought, and a pretty decent size at that. These are some other sectors. Also, the software group did really well today. Let's take a look at how software lines up. Some of these names woke up. You kind of just feel like if you stay with this group, into a little bit of chop, they eventually wake up. So IGV is pushing to new highs, but really impressive are names like Coop, making a new 52-week high. MDB got going today. It's still, that is in value, but did not take out, Monday's candle. So I would think a name to keep an eye on. We mentioned this one. This was one of our weekend setups where we talked about how the prices kind of come all the way back into where it reported earnings. So you kind of you can get into this name when they had good earnings, right? So I still like this name here. A name that we added yesterday was Vive. Had a beautiful day today, up 1.9%. So if we go down on my spreadsheet, you could see that. Again, Salesforce doesn't seem to be really doing anything since they announced that last acquisition. Twilio, which is kind of, to me, a question mark right now. I don't get why it seems to try to rally the last couple days or last couple of weeks even, and really just can't get going. I did start a position in this one today, but look at Okta and Shopify. Right, so Okta's turning the corner too. So these are not bad places, right? You actually have the turn, and again, high valuation names. So you want to be careful how you're sizing positions because they are vulnerable to downgrades. Remember, Shop got downgraded 3 days in a row. TTD got a downgrade on valuation again. So this group is flying high, but from a technical aspect, and if you're looking to play, just to move up to maybe 133. That's a good percentage move for something like Okta. So that's one of my favorites right now in the space after, like I said, a nice day. Again, look at the performance. MDB was up 4.3%. ServiceNow also had a good day. And AYX had a good day today too, as well. Pretty not bad in the Chinese internet names too. They came alive a little bit too. I am long this SE. Nice move today. So what else to kind of cover for today's option activity? There was a couple other things that looked interesting. I guess sticking with the cyberspace, we saw a little bit of ZS calls. This is also, moving, looks like it wants to move back to the highs. Oh, two other names to mention, right? AA, which is continuing to see call buying. I'm not in love with this chart. It's in a downtrend, so you'd have to think about this as a counter trend trade. But it looks like they keep coming back into Alcoa. But CG, they ended up trading. So this is Carlyle Group, and remember these names have been some of the private equity names have been converting to corporations. So I don't know, CG the next one. They bought 10,000 of these all in pieces. August calls, for about 35-40 cents. I did tag along on that trade. And then the last one I thought was interesting for the day, trying to keep today's video short, was Etsy. These look like they were bought. This one I'm not sure, but these August 60 calls in Etsy looks pretty good. Remember, this is kind of a beaten up name. Maybe look for, I would say, like a scalp, maybe to the top of value 67. This name kind of failed at this breakout level, but I think pretty intriguing. We haven't really seen too much call activity in this name. All right, guys, so I'll leave it there. That's it. I do find it interesting, and I think that you can, with these moves going on in gold and bonds, I think it's nice to have, not just like a concentrated, portfolio in tech. I think you can own some different things like GLD or a gold miner. A couple names that saw, my final note here, a couple names that saw some call buying too were AEM and FNV. So, besides just GLD and GDX, some of the individual miners are also seeing some call activity too. All right, guys, so I'll leave it there for the day. Have a great night, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow in the trading room.